Hi, welcome to Finding Fuscata. I'm Shawn. I made a commitment to post a new video every Sunday and Wednesday, and today's Wednesday, so here's my video. I'm doing this because you know what? There's a lady she's got a YouTube channel called Silver and Single. Sorry, I meant Silver and Solo. What she's doing over there, because she's a Gen Xer like me, and a little while ago she just decided to start posting videos about being, single in your late 50s and getting older and things that she needs and stuff like that. And it's a fantastic channel. I highly recommend that you go and subscribe to it and follow her. But what she started doing was posting her metrics on there and showing that if you just post consistently and you get good feedback and you have decent quality videos and all that kind of stuff, your channel starts to go pretty quickly. Like, who knew? That's what everybody's been saying for how long, and it just took a long time for my thick brain to figure that out. So I'm committing every Sunday and every Wednesday from here on out until this all starts working for me, get new videos. Anyway, today I am introducing a new segment that I'd like to call Opinions Nobody Asked Me For.
Opinion nobody asked me for.
And this is a subject that is very, I don't want to say dear to me or close to my heart or anything like that, because that's not quite true. But it's important to me, for sure. And it's this concept of the sheepdog. So I had an interview with Regina Roberti a few days ago. The videos on my channel. And the podcast is available over on Podbean as well, and anywhere where you can find podcasts. But that's beside the point. As I was talking to her, the concept of the sheepdog mentality came up, and it was something she wasn't familiar with. And I gave like a real quick synopsis of what it's all about. And I wanted to unpack that a little bit more. And as I was doing some research, I came across some people who think that just because they are armed and just because they feel like defending their family, that they are sheepdogs. And no, I'm just going to shut that down right now, because that's not what it's all about. And in fact, later, if you stick around, I interviewed Lieutenant Colonel retired David Grossman about this same subject, about the sheepdog mentality, and he said the same thing that I'm saying, so I'm getting this right from the horse's mouth. If you're not familiar with Lieutenant Colonel retired Grossman, go check him out. He's got a bunch of books. I will list them here. Here's a list of his books. Did you get it? Cool. Anyway, so let me lay out the basics of the sheepdog mentality and do with it as you will. The core concept is that if you take any random group of people, say you take 100 people, and 98 of those people are just kind of living their life. They're perfectly happy with their 401k. They're perfectly happy with their dental plan. They're perfectly happy to come home and watch CNN or whatever's on Hulu, or whatever is going on in their life. They go to their holidays. They're happy about getting great deals on Black Friday, and they just like live their life. They drive their Corolla or their Range Rover or whatever it is, or they're actors or celebrities or call center folks, or like, it just doesn't matter. Just whatever, but they're just like regular people living regular lives and minding their own business and doing their own thing, and that's great. Now remember, I said that if you take it out of 100, 98 people are going to be like that. 2 people, according to this idea, are predators. One of those is a wolf. And it's got teeth, and it's got fangs, and it's got, fur and speed and intelligence and community, and it wants to devour the sheep. And you can picture that however you want. You can picture it as serial killers or gunmen, or as terrorists, or as I don't know, politicians, or just as anything that's kind of nefarious. You just kind of put that over in that category, and we'll picture that as the wolf, right? On the other side, there's another predator, and that predator is what we think of as the sheepdog. Now, because the sheepdog also has the teeth and the intelligence and the speed and the fur and because it's a predator, it can stand up against the wolf. So the idea is that you need to be predator for predator. They need to be, meet in the middle, so that this predator can protect the sheep against this predator, right? And if that's as far as you go with the idea, then you might think that as soon as you get your concealed carry permit, or you go and buy yourself an AR-15 and you like sling it over yourself and you go walking around, like you're playing soldier or whatever, and you're going to be like, I'm a sheepdog. That is nothing. You completely miss the point if that's what you're thinking. Because think about what the sheepdog does. The sheepdog arose because we as humans were herding sheep. We had flocks of sheep or cattle or whatever it was, and there were real predators out there in the wild. There are lions and tigers and bears, oh my, and wolves and all that kind of stuff that want to come along and eat the sheep and eat the cows and eat the llamas and eat like whatever the thing is, right, that we're trying to keep hold of and protect. So humans discovered that we have these dogs that are always hanging around, and they kind of used to be wolves, and they protect us, so maybe we can train them. Train them is the operative word. We can train them to protect the sheep. In fact, we can train them to the point that we as the shepherd don't even have to be there. We can just have a flock of sheep and just have the dog out there with the sheep. And we trust the dog, because we know that the dog has been trained. It's been bred for that. It's been raised for that. It has, we know that dog sees that flock of sheep as its own group, and it will protect it. It will lay down its life for it. But the key thing is that it has been trained for that. And when something has been through the training, it means that it has submitted itself to that training. So, and it has practiced, and it has learned, and it's made mistakes, and it has taken that predatory nature that it has and submitted it to an authority that taught it how to use it in a better way. Right? So what we think of in the military and in first responders, police, firefighters, is that we have to have, and I say we as a veteran, I still have the sheepdog mentality. We have to have that sheepdog mentality in that we submit to the police chief or the fire chief or our enlisted chief or whatever the thing is, or our commander in chief, and we submit to that and we say, yes, here we are going to be sheepdogs, and we're going to help protect the civilians, the people who just want to live their day-to-day lives. Now, something to keep in mind, though, and this is something that I got from my conversation with Mr. Grossman, is within the military, that it ends up being a very, very self-selective group. Like, we don't have in the United States a conscription program. Okay, I'm back. I forget where I was. My dogs were barking because there were some Jehovah's Witnesses that came to the door. And listen, as an aside, I don't subscribe to the Jehovah's Witness or any religion or anything like that. But anyway, I'm not going to get into. There's a whole philosophy that I have about religion and how people get into heaven and all that other kind of stuff. And you know what? what I said to the Jehovah's Witnesses is, who am I to get in the way of the Lord's work? And they were asking for directions to somebody's house. And maybe this person is going to be mad at me for giving directions, but I don't know. That's not my responsibility. Anyway. What I was talking about is the necessity of discipline in order to have the sheepdog mentality. And what I started saying is that people in the military, particularly enlisted, I won't even say particularly enlisted. I would say people in the military are a very self-selective group. We don't have in the U.S. conscription or mandatory military service. We have an all-volunteer force. And there's a reason why we have an all-volunteer force, because we in the U.S. military want to make sure that the people who are there want to be there. It's very, very important that the people who are there want to be there. Whether they're there for, for education benefits, or just to find a job, or to get job training, or if they have they come from broken families and they're looking for some place where they belong. Who knows? But it could be any one or a combination of all of those reasons. But one thing that I have found in my Air Force career is that almost every single person knew that there was something within them that was kind of dark and kind of predatory. And they knew that was there. I know that I had it. And especially as a young man, when, testosterone levels are through the roof and used to get in fights all the time, all kinds of crazy stuff. But I knew that there was something inside of me. But I also knew that I really, really wanted to protect the people that I loved. And I really believed in the Constitution of the United States. I believed in the concept of we the people. I believed in, right to bear arms and all this kind of stuff. Back in those days, I was a Rush Limbaugh conservative. And I chose, because of the nature of who I am, to join the Air Force. Okay? Now, there are other people who join the Army or the Coast Guard or the Navy or the Marine Corps or other services. And each one of those services has its own level of danger, let's say. So if you're in the Air Force, we know that people call us the chair force because most of us are desk jockeys. I started out as a mechanic, and then I cross-trained over into engineering, and I was a draftsman and a surveyor. And I went on some crazy deployments, and I saw some crazy stuff, but I was never in combat. I was never in a direct line of fire because I wasn't one of the ground pounders. I wasn't infantry. I wasn't anything like that. But there are folks out there who are infantry who, that's what they do. That's their primary directive, is to have a gun and throw lead at bad people. That's what they do. So, but both of us have that same kind of predatory instinct. So, admittedly, yeah, my predatory instinct was maybe closer to something like a golden retriever, whereas a Marine Corps buddy that I had, his predatory instinct was something more like a Doberman Pinscher or a Malinois, Belgian Malinois. Did I say that right? But we're still both predators, right? Now, the thing is, in the Marine Corps, a lot of people submit to that because the Marine Corps requires incredible discipline. A great deal of discipline. And it's even more discipline with the Navy SEALs, and it's even more discipline with, combat controllers and all those folks. Those folks have to be very, very disciplined, and they have to go through an incredible amount of training. And, some people call it brainwashing, but remember, brainwashing isn't always a bad thing, especially if I'm trying to condition you to do a certain thing and to exhibit a certain behavior, then yeah, I'm going to brainwash you. And if the behavior that I'm trying to get you to do is to I'm going to hand you a gun because I know that you have a predatory instinct, and you're 18, 19, 20 years old, and I'm going to go send you out there to go throw lead at bad people, I need to know with 100% certainty that you're remembering your training, that you're remembering your sheepdog training. So this is something that Mr. Grossman and I got into when we talked about, is that this is the reason why in the military they have very clear hair standards and shaving standards, and because when, say me as a NCO, so I was a non-commissioned officer, and say I'm, imagine I'm back in my technical sergeant uniform, and I have some airmen that are working for me, and we're gonna go deploy to Iraq. And normally, these folks that work for me would be, computer drafting and surveying and stuff like that. But we're gonna have to go someplace where could be some firefighting, there could be some problems. So I have to arm those people. I have to say yes. I have to tell my commander that, yeah, Airman Snuffy, Airman Happablap, and Airman Kirkadurkabirkin is, they're good to go. They check their medical records, everything's fine, and you can arm them. It's okay. Part of the reason that I know that I can just see that as a glance, is if they're maintaining, if I know that they're maintaining their sheepdog training, is if they're maintaining their haircut, if they're maintaining their uniform, if their boots are looking good, if their workstation is looking good, if their life is pulled together, they're not being abusive to their spouse, they're not out gallivanting and drinking all the time, and they're not getting into drugs, they're not doing any of that kind of stuff, because they're respecting their sheepdog training. So that's how I can know that person is doing that. And imagine, like in the Marine Corps, you have to be even more strict, because these people are trained killers. That's what they do. In the Army and in the Marine Corps, your first job is an infantryman. You're a rifleman first. And then you have your MOS. You have whatever job it is that you do. In the Air Force, we are our AFSC, which is our Air Force Specialty Code, and whatever the job is that we do, whether it's combat controller or surveyor or, passing out eggs in the chow hall, then, that's what you do. And then secondarily, you're also trained how to use a firearm, right? Some folks like the security forces, or they call them force protection now, or defenders. The defenders they're going to be more trained how to use weaponry and things like that than somebody who's, working at the chow hall. But they still have to submit to the basics of the Air Force standards. Makes sense? So the same way with the Marine, that person, their primary directive is to go and kill things, to go and kill bad people. That's literally what they do. They may be a mechanic, they may, work an administrative job, they may, be surveyors and draftsmen and carpenters and like whatever else it is that the Marine Corps needs them to do. But their first and foremost job is to be really, really good at grabbing a rifle, pointing it at bad people, and knocking them down. And if that doesn't work, to just pick up their fists and go do it anyway. The fact of the matter is that we need sheepdogs in our society. We need people who are trained. We need people who are submitting to a recognized authority, and that authority must be of the people, by the people, and for the people, and in line with the Constitution. And there's a lot of things that have to happen in order for that to be a safe kind of people to have around, to have them be productive and not tyrannical. But we need them. We need police. We need Marines. We need infantrymen. We need the military. We have to have those around, because there are bad people in the world. And if the fact is that if you are not part of one of those organizations, you are not a sheepdog. You don't get to call yourself a sheepdog. You're just a dog. You may be a good dog. You may be a great dog. I don't know. But you're not a sheepdog. And even us retirees, like if you picture a retired military working dog or a police dog, somebody will take them and put them into a good home so they can live the rest of their lives in comfort. But that's still a military working dog that's still trained to do that stuff. So us, veterans and retirees, we've still been trained. Our bodies may not be able to do the same stuff, but it's still trained. And just like that retired military working dog or the police dog, if something came up, that dog's training would snap in and it would say, oh, yeah, I know how to handle this situation. And it would handle the situation. The same thing with us veterans. If something comes up, I know how to handle the situation and I will handle the situation. But I'm not a sheepdog. And if you're not in uniform, you're not a sheepdog. So please keep that in mind. Anyway, that's my opinion. Nobody asked me for. If you like this content, like, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. I would love to hear some comments in the comment box below, because I know that there's going to be a lot of big opinions about this. And hey, it's great. So thanks for listening. I would love to hear some comments, get some feedback on this, because I know that people are going to have some opinions that disagree with me on that. So let's have a polite discussion in the comment section. Nothing that you say is going to nothing that you say is going to persuade me away from this point of view, because this is hard-earned and I know that it's true and I've seen it in action. So go ahead and try to dissuade me, but this is how I see it's the God's honest truth, all right? So it is what it is. Anyway, like, share, subscribe, stick around, and you will see me later. Bye.
Yeah, I know my dad's annoying.
What matters is submission to discipline.
Right.
And whatever the hell the standard is, we enforce it. And that's the NCO's job. That's sergeant's business, is enforcing the standard. And that's why, the old sergeant major or the old chief is making everybody establish their uniform standards. That's the safeguard. And so this discipline, regardless of who you are and what you do, there are no real lines, and there is nobody who doesn't need military discipline. That's the safeguard. We don't turn people into warriors, killers, without that safeguard of discipline. So integrate that into the sheepdog model to understand that everybody, that whether it's uniform standards, haircut standards, formations, a little drill and ceremony every now and then, those are the things that make us different from the mob. Those are the things that make us different from the average criminal killer out there. That's the difference between the sheepdog and the wolf, is discipline.